What's up, y'all? Let's dive headfirst into today's stories. So, my dad had an affair with his BFF's wife, let's call her Jane. She claimed she was pretty much in love with my father, and of course her husband didn't know. I found out because once I got a Facebook Messenger message from a fake account telling me that my father was banging his BFF's wife. I actually didn't care. My parents are divorced since 2005. The problem was that someone unknown was sending my mother text messages, telling her to leave my father alone, and many offensive things. We let it slide for a while, but then those anonymous text messages became a daily thing. We confronted my dad and he confessed that he was sleeping with Jane, but he said she was not the one sending the messages. He said he was sure because Jane's husband was also getting those messages. My dad was practically blinded by her manipulations, and my mom and I had a really strong hunch that it was her. My dad got so mad after we suggested it that he stopped speaking to me and my mom for a while. I also got mad, but much more offended because he would not believe me. I mean, I had no reason to lie to him. Still, I let all that slide. But then, I got another anonymous message offending me, telling me I was just like my mother and that's why my boyfriend had dumped me, and that we would be alone for the rest of our lives, and things like that. Then I got really mad. I went to the cyber police, is a thing where I'm from, and they tracked the source of the anonymous messages. It turns out that it was her, and she was also sending her husband messages because she was so desperate for the truth to come out so she could be with my father, although I think that just confronting her husband would have been better. What she really wanted was to distance my father from me and my mom. She was messing with my family, so I decided to mess with hers, and sent the proof to her husband and her sons that she was behind the anonymous messages, and that she was, in fact, sleeping with my dad. I also showed my dad the proof and exposed her on Facebook. She was a saleswoman, so it did affect her. Her sons and her husband were so mad at her, she had to move out of her house, and my dad broke up with her as well. She was left alone, but I feel like that's what she deserved. My dad told me this story a few years back. My grandfather lived in a really rural area in Georgia. This was around the late 1930s, early 1940. My grandfather owned a farm and had a garden. He had planted various veggies. The only neighbors were about a mile away. And for some reason the neighbors would drive their Model T through the garden, tearing up the veggies. My grandpa would have to replant the garden. The neighbors kept doing this. So here comes the revenge part. My grandfather dug holes around the garden and stuck metal poles into the holes. He covered up the holes with leaves. A few days later the neighbors drove through again. My dad said they tore the undercarriage out and had parts strewn all over the place. He couldn't remember what happened after that. But I don't think they did that again. Quick background, I'm not a cosplayer myself, but I have plenty of friends who are, and so I'm in an online community group with cosplay and gaming as its main focuses. I'm not active in it, but the group itself is 16K and constantly growing in size, what is considered quite big for my country's social media standards. No surprise though that more than half of the members are 13 to 17 years old boy and girls. There's an ongoing debate in this group for almost a year now that what's considered real cosplay. Bear with me, I swear it will add to the story later. Imagine it like there's a group of people who are creating character-based cosplays from movies and series, and there's another who buys a wig and lingerie to pull a Belle Delphine and calls it a day. My opinion on this doesn't matter now, but the second group is also known for posting provocative, lewd and sometimes straight-on NSFW photo shoots right into this collective group without any warnings. Sadly, the laws in my country aren't advanced enough yet to make this illegal. I'm from an old European country with great historical universities. Our school system is also quite traditional, so it's like everyone wants to go to these big-named universities with full tuition scholarships, and the ones that are privately owned have to fight for their students. I happen to study at one of the oldest universities in our capital city. This also will be important later. So on to the story. One of my friends posted on her private page about this issue, and I noticed a girl commenting that everyone should let them be, and anyways. It's natural for 12-14-year-olds to watch their parents and other adults naked while bathing or just walking in their home. If anything, they should be glad that these cosplayers are making a favor by enlightening the kids about female bodies and sexuality. I won't make no warnings when the young boys are interested in this anyways, and they can find it everywhere. My blood pressure went 0 to 100 in the few seconds of reading this. So I replied, trying to contain my anger and simply telling her that, no, it isn't normal for kids to be exposed to such at such a young age. I get that this is a cosplay group and she wants to share her content, but she should simply put a warning on it and everyone would shut up. At least then it would be the stupid kid clicking on it, not her blatantly sharing it into their faces. And the fact that kids are exposed to such content easily at many media types doesn't mean she should be willingly one of them. She replied stating that I'm clearly a prude and we live in very different worlds. She accepts and respects mine. I should also do so with her views cause this is also cosplay. After this, I simply told her that, yes, I live in a world where we don't sexualize children and parents doesn't expose kids to sex. And I see that she didn't get my point cause I never said it isn't cosplaying. I simply stated that it's highly inappropriate for young audiences. In her next reply, she went ballistic with the curses. It was quite entertaining but not in English, so I can't add here. But amongst a lot of other stuff she told me that I'm 25F, just a little inexperienced high school girl and I have no say in this. Then the original post got removed by my friend cause she and her followers started to get super personal and vulgar with her, and the goal wasn't that. 2 days passes and I almost completely forgot about this interaction when I get the message from this friend that this woman kept messaging her through these 2 days and she's so tired and done with this whole thing. I also got the screenshots. Now in these private messages, she starts by telling this younger girl that she's a leader at a foundation that is helping young adults who came from an unsecured household. Jesus Christ. Then she states that she only wants good for her and she sees her as one of her mentored ones. In the following 2 days she managed to tell this visibly insecure girl that, no one loves her. She deserves the only hate and she hopes it will teach her the lesson. She has mental problems and should seek professional help immediately cause of her views and approach, this one at least 3 times. They are clearly right cause there are more of themes. The way my friend isn't changing her opinion is a sign of malice and idiocracy. She will die alone, hated by everyone. And so on with some other smaller claims. My friend was handling it quite well, but to be honest I understand why she got eventually fed up. To the obvious question of why she didn't just block her, at the same time, her followers and friends were all ridiculing her and tagging her on hateful public posts and stories. She thought that maybe if she can stop the main bully with reasoning, the others will stop as well. Now to the revenge part, I can't express how much I hate when someone goes after the insecure quiet one to feel dominant. It wasn't hard to find her job. She was stupid enough to use her real name on her cosplay page, and lo and behold she's a simple voluntary mentor at a nationwide university project at a small countryside private-owned university. It took around 15 minutes to find the correct email addresses and type up a simple and short email about my concerns that she's behaving this way while using her position at the university to back it up, bringing a bad reputation to the university. Her behavior is also discouraging the young people she interacts with from this project, and I just want to warn them before she hurts someone in need. I put every single address I could find from the project office and university as a recipient and sent it along with the screenshots of their private conversation and public comments with the sign off of my name and university. The nationwide project is also centrally hosted by my university. It didn't take 30 minutes and she got a call that she's temporarily terminated. I know this because of the backlash and panic on her and her followers' social media. The hysteria is still going on at this moment. Her defense is that the screenshots are forged and I'm wanting to get her fired because I hate lewd cosplayers. I want to see you convincing your bosses about that, Sherlock. Clarification, she didn't lose an actual paying job. They terminated her volunteer status until the investigation on the situation is finished, as I stated above. I believe that's how they could react so quickly. Update, the Facebook profile she sent the messages from is gone. I don't know if someone flagged it or she took it down so the texts won't lead back to her profile. Update 2, she said another girl to tell my friend that I should write an apologizing email to the project office. I told them that my DMs are open if she wants to talk. I wrote like 6 sentences with my real name. I don't see why I should apologize. The stuff she got burnt for was there with her own words. It was her DMs. Backstory, we live in Portugal. Here, there is a law that states that if someone abandons a plot of land and that is used by someone else for a minimum of 20 years, that person has the right to claim the land for themselves. This friend of mine has inherited a house in a town. This town is basically a beach holiday town. The rich people of the city nearby often had their house and spent the whole summer there. This was in the early 20th century. Some people still do that, including my friend. So his family has been using a spot right next to their house as a playground for the kids. For way more than 20 years, in fact for over 50. They hadn't yet needed to claim it since the owner didn't do anything to it, and as the whole neighborhood used it, doing that would be assholish. Until 2 years ago, when he decided to sell it to a couple that built a 2-story house there. The house completely ruins the view that he had over the sea and also ruins the look of the neighborhood due to its differences to other houses. So my friend decided to claim the land. This was before the house was built, but since Portuguese justice is slow AF, the house was already fully built when it ended, this time with the approval of the other neighbors. The couple that had bought it had some friends in the justice system. The wife's mother was a retired judge, her sister was a very well-known and respected lawyer, so they managed to overcome my friend's claims, on a technicality. But from the start it was obvious that my friend should have got it. The way they got it was very shady. They only won because they knew people, and this is why he decided to get his revenge. The street between the two houses had free parking everywhere. This is because most people in the neighborhood are friends and don't have garages, so they park in front of their house. But the annoying neighbors had a garage. My friend had a truck that once was used for a restaurant of his, and he parked it right in front of their garage door permanently. It was legal since they hadn't paid the town council a yearly fee to have non-parking spot there. After a few months they decided to get that. That costs Euro 8k a year to maintain. Until this point it was more out of petty revenge. But the annoying neighbors had threatened him to remove his vehicle before that. They have said they would throw rocks at his windows, which they once did, that they would flood his garden, which they did repeatedly, and even that they would kill his dog, a German Shepherd. They tried that using a knife, but the dog bit the guy on his leg, and as you know, those dogs bite hard. The threats were all recorded by my friend, since he would record every conversation he'd have with them in person or over the phone. He had taken pictures of the window and the garden. He sued them, and this time the influences weren't enough. They had to pay a Euro 10k repair for the window and garden. He has a friend that evaluated the costs, conveniently quite highly, and had to pay him a further Euro 30k in compensation for the mental health issues it caused. But wait, there is more. Remember when they tried to kill the dog? They had done it when he wasn't home, so he never even knew about it. Out of rage, they sued my friend for his dog biting the man's leg. He had to spend a week in the hospital as it got very badly infected, and tried to make him pay for the hospital fees and compensation. But he defended himself by saying they invaded his property and even sued them for that, which led to a 1-year suspended jail time, which means if they are ever convicted of something they will spend that year in jail on top of that conviction sentence. If they don't do anything else they won't be going to jail. What did you think? What would you have done differently? Share your opinions in the comments. And if you enjoyed the stories, slap that like and subscribe button for more of them, and don't forget to support the original writers with an upvote. Links are in the description. Peace out, and catch you tomorrow.